So,
Does the microphone work?
can everyone hear us? Thumbs up. Yeah.
Perfect.
So, very excited to be here.
Likewise.
David, one of my favorite founders. So yeah, we're going to unpack the story of going from TechChill Milan to being the founder of one of the fastest scaling edtechs actually. So, slightly different product, but anyways, you guys, you had 1 million users a couple of months ago, probably now 20-30% more users, insane growth, and very proud backer. Give me a fist bump, bro. So yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself, David. Just a quick background, who are you?
Yeah, very quickly. So as they mentioned, I'm from Italy. I was born and raised there. My family is originally from Serbia. I've been always passionate about technology. I started this passion with my brother, with video games at the beginning. And then like for many, developed from video games to tech, to startups, to anything related to computers at this point. And yeah, then he went into studying software engineering. I went more on the business side, studied in Milan. And that's where I actually ended up like discovering about TechChill. But yeah, let's say that all the time I was like just looking for like tech things and what was happening in the space. And yeah.
It's amazing. So if you take us back to kind of the inception of this whole story, we're a few years back in TechChill Milan. What year was it? This was like
2022?
2022, yeah?
I think so.
You wearing that volunteer t-shirt back there, scanning badges, moving chairs, doing everything. So how was your volunteer shift? Like, did you imagine this path back then?
So, I mean, it started randomly because my university just sent to everybody like the email and be like, oh, there is this event happening, who wants to volunteer? And I signed up like, let's see what's happening. And yeah, I would not expect it to be honestly that cool because like I went to other events, but in Italy it's like the tech ecosystem, it's like kind of weak. I know everybody's like for suit, everybody's like very serious. And there was this TechChill event, so like let's see, and it was actually fun, like really fun. And then second year there, and then I came back here to volunteer again, and then like last year I was pitching, and so this is my 5th year not paying a ticket, which is I guess one of the
hustler culture.
So yeah, it was. I see so many familiar faces, so I'm really happy. You know, it's many friends now.
Yeah. I guess there's a couple of volunteers here. Like, can you? Okay, so what was the worst? What was the most boring? Did you clean the toilets? Like,
No, but one night I had to scan all the badges, and inside there was this huge, nice party. Everybody was like partying and you know, like networking, and it was just amazing. And I could just hear the music, and I was scanning the badges until like midnight, and nobody was coming anymore. Like everybody was there, but I was supposed to stay there. I was like, yeah, but somebody was bringing me drinks, so it was fine.
Oh, that was nice. That was nice. Friendly vibes. So, you know, if we move a little bit forward, then, like, was there like a specific moment when you decided, I'm going to start Flashka? Like, take us back. How did it all start?
Yeah, so Flashka, actually, slight mistake before, but Flashka is a learning platform using AI to improve exam prep for especially medical life science students. Got to over 1 million users, growing really fast. Very exciting journey so far. And I mean, I feel like you start sort of like multiple times. You get first an idea and you kind of start working on it, but starting for real, it's a bit different. So, I mean, I was just chatting with my brother, as I said, software engineer. He had early access to the developer tools of OpenAI. So we were like, oh, how can we use this? And I was preparing my law exams and I had just to write a lot of flashcards. So I was like, maybe this makes sense. So we publish plugin back then. Feels like, you know, middle age at this point. But we published this plugin, and it goes really well because people are just curious to try it out. They look for it, and so we kind of start working with it. I straight away text Simone, was here to support us in like also designing a platform and bring his experience. And he's the another co-founder now, so it's the 3 of us. And so like, this is when we kind of started, you know, understanding what could be a cool thing. And then I feel like it took a few months to actually say, okay, let me drop out of uni, go full time and really focus on this. And this has to be, you know, my like next 10 years minimum that where I want to focus and do this. So it's like, you have different validation steps. You're like, okay, this is what I want to do. So it took us, no, it didn't take that long, to be honest. But just because I dropped out of uni, and at this point, like I burned the ship. Like there was no way back. So
Like classic VC story, like dropout from top university. Like that's, yeah.
yeah, I did it just for the tag, just for the LinkedIn bio.
Yeah, of course, stealth mode. Well, yeah, and like because of what you do, what Flashka does, as a student yourself, was it any exams that were difficult, or were you a good student?
I was always like minimum effort, maximum results, I would say. So that's probably what led to this company. I was like trying to do the least possible to get the good grades, just to reach my goals. But no, that was bad. Like in Italy, I don't know why we study Latin language, and that was like just bad. That was bad. That was. I don't want to talk about it. Sorry. Let's skip this.
Yeah, but that's a good skill, to be very efficient in terms of entrepreneurship. To build something, you have to do everything with minimal requirements. So that makes sense. But okay, so if we move forward now to TechChill 2024, so basically last year. This is where I come into the picture as well, in a sense. So I think I coached you in the pitch competition, or like some kind of jury.
Yeah.
And you guys were actually one of very few companies who had real traction. I did like 8K MRR or something. It was it's a crowded market. Yeah. But there was something there. You had this big smile like you have today. So I gives a little deja vu feeling there. Yeah, and we didn't invest directly. Then I remember from my side, I'm based in Stockholm, but I was back in Riga taking a walk, and we were talking, and you had a lot of interest from different VCs as well, and we eventually decided to kind of lead the round, and yeah, eventually became like the lead investor of Flashka, which I'm super excited for. But like from your perspective, how was the whole, from pitch competition to getting funded? Can you share some insights? We have probably a few founders here.
Yeah, let's say that I was actually starting from a bit of like advantage position, because I skipped this part, but during my bachelor, not studying that much, I was working in a VC, so I had some network there. Then from TechChill, I managed to get to know a lot of people, which is like the pro tip to everybody here: just save numbers, talk to anybody, say hi when you see someone. And so then I was like pitching there, and it was already like a good position to start from. Then luckily also, then also the traction went really well as well. And to be fair, closing the round at that point wasn't that difficult, I have to say. But just because we were really like, all the things were like, we validated the idea, we validated like students would pay, we validated some retention as well. I feel like also as a team, we were pretty strong as the backgrounds, like everything was sort of in place. And it was still not easy, because it's B2C, it's edtech, 90% of VCs don't like that by default. But you can, given that most of VCs don't like it, once you get to the first meeting, it's like you already know they're kind of excited for something, because it's usually a no-go by default. So, it was a couple of months of raising, I would say, and many no's. But yeah, it's nothing to like. The network from TechChill helped. Like the network from TechChill helped a lot. So that's like the everybody says you have to have the warm interest. If you get to know them as a volunteer, and then you even do the step forward, is like even a very green flag. It's like, okay, well, he was already loving the space. I got to know them before as a person, and then they became a founder. It's just better than reach out as a founder, because it already puts you in a sales perspective. Hey, do you want to to join my journey? If you get to know them first as people, and then it's much easier.
Yeah, 100%. No, I think that's a really good advice right there. Just to meet, talk to investors, and kind of being a volunteer just shows how passionate you are about entrepreneurship and learning and networking, and that's so important.
Fundraising doesn't start when you decide to fundraise.
Yeah,
it's an ongoing process.
Yeah, building relationships. I think that's, from our perspective, I can just double down on that. That was super important, building this long-term relationship, because like you say, it's not the most sexy VC industry. So what you want to see as an investor is that the team can really execute. That they, I mean, that's ultimately how they're going to win. Their capacity to execute. And how will you know that if you just met someone? So building that relationship is so important. But yeah, speaking of execution, you guys fucking nailed it. So after the funding round, things really took off, like in terms of traction. You have a crazy growth. You're probably one of the fastest growing companies, especially edtechs in Europe. So what's the vibe like? How did it feel to kind of see that hockey stick moment?
It's good. It's good. I mean, it is not always like that, especially in an industry like ours. It's a bit seasonal. It's really not trivial to just grow. But since September, I mean, we 4x. So since the closing of the round, we more than
4x.
Yes, the MRR, and then now we're just opening new markets. It's getting intense. I would say it's exciting, but it's getting intense. I have a lot of. We decided to run the company basically on WhatsApp with everybody, which makes that I always have like 20 unread chats, and my friends are hating me. But I mean, it's a priority to just reply to everybody now, and it's getting a bit messy, I would say.
You still have friends at least.
Yeah, I still have friends. But it's just the TechChill people at this point. Everybody left me. But but no, it's good. Like we just knew what we had to do. We just double down, triple down, and now we're doing like either 3x on the investment, and it's just about execution, as you said at this point.
Yeah, but let's like unpack it just for the audience to hear a little bit more. So I think I'm not sure exactly like if it was 4 months ago or so. You hit like #1 in Italy, being like the most downloaded edtech app, right?
Actually, of all apps. When we launched in October, we were just a web. And then in October, we launched the app version, and we were the most downloaded app for the week, above like ChatGPT, Poste Italiane, which is the post office app. So yeah, it was pretty exciting.
And that was Simone's biggest win, the Poste Italiane. But anyways, the becoming like viral. What happened? Can you unpack this a little bit? Like I guess.
Yeah, I mean. So before you had the B2B masterclass here, now it's more about B2C, about big numbers. Yeah. So, I mean, we work mainly on TikTok and Instagram, and we just, all the years I've been brain rotting on the platforms, it's paying off. Like, I just understand what content can go viral. We actually built internally an agent that checks all the posts in our industry, finds the most trending format for the day, and we share it with a network of creators that work with us and post daily the content we share with them. And this grants us like today around 1.5 million views a day. And it's honestly, it's like average 1.5 million views a day. When we spot the right trend that's converting well, that's when we have the high spikes of like 20,000 new users a day. So at this point, it's just expanding this network of creators that are posting our content, and it's a big machine running actually just with one person, because most of it is automated with AI, and it's pretty cool. Yeah. And for now, it's humans posting. Maybe in the future, it will be actually AI-generated content. It can develop. It's one of those topics of single-person companies. The more I work in this, the more I'm like, oh yeah, it can happen one day. Like it's getting so efficient.
Yeah, it's insane how you can leverage the agents and So you're such a small team and you do so much basically. It's insane. And so yeah, and like going then from nailing one market to then the next one was Spain basically. And I'm super impressed by you guys. I mean, you're very young, you have this AI native mindset, but also you're just, let's relocate to Valencia. Let's kind of, start there, build it from the ground up. So, tell us a little bit about that, and what was your playbook?
It was an excuse. We wanted just the beach, honestly.
Okay.
Nice question. No, I mean, it's just that when you work in B2C, I feel like each market, when you work maybe with companies, the incentives are usually the same. When you work in B2C, every market tends to be even more different on how people perceive products, how people study, in our case, how people just do stuff. And even for example, in Italy, everybody studies on an iPad mainly. On other markets, it might be on computer and or pen and paper. So to understand it the best, you just have to go there and interview people. And I mean, at the end we realized it was very similar to Italy, so we actually just spent time at the beach in the end. But it was still useful. I mean, it paid off, and now we're in Germany, so we're just hopping from country to country, and every time it's about like doing the cringe job, like of stopping people outside university and be like, hey, can I bother you 1 second really quick? I have to show you something. And it works, especially in Italy and Spain. I remember 1 year ago or two, I was here in Latvia, and people are less like open, like to chat with strangers. Yeah. And I remember I was quite a bit shocked. I was like, some people were like, also in Germany it's the same. So it gets, it depends on the market as well. Like it's, and also what social media they use. You know, it's just about how do you sell the product. And,
yeah. No, it's very interesting, and yeah, as you mentioned, now you guys are doing the next thing, relocating to Berlin. Don't have the sunny beaches, but more like this Bernheim underground clubs. Maybe, I don't know what's the but a great market, obviously, of course, and like going forward now, you're launching in Poland, France, Sweden. What do you anticipate? Like, have you started to talk to people? What do you think is going to be the biggest differences?
Yeah, so I think especially in markets like the German market is very different. Competition is different, especially in the medical students field. The tools used are very different. Also, working with the medical students, like you have to know when do they have, like which years do they do more practical stuff, in which year do they study like specific topics to market it best. So, like the main difference is tools used and how the class is organized. Like, because in Italy, for example, there is some crazy organization about who takes notes. Like today I take the notes, I share it with the class. Tomorrow it's Simone, I share with the class. So if you manage to enter into this network, it's very, very effective. So like now it's mostly about like what competitors are there, what do they offer, how do you position it against competition. Because in the end, they have limited budget. They have to pick one tool they want to stick with, and so you need to understand what is the key selling proposition for them to switch to. What are the switching costs? Can we maybe make an automation that brings their like materials from the current platform to our platform? It's many stuff, but yeah, I feel now it's mainly about what tools they're using, because our platform is already like has most of the feature already there. So it's not about building new features. It's really about, okay, how do you sell this suite of products to the students?
Yeah, no, it's very interesting. Yeah, because obviously I have an engineering degree myself, but like studying, I could just compare Sweden to Latvia. It's very, very different as well. And I guess like if you want to build this network moat in your product, that's amazing if you can get students going together, basically leveraging your tool. That becomes like the centerpiece. So yeah, okay. But let's move. Like we kind of touched a little bit about the team, leveraging AI, being able to be super lean, super efficient in both in terms of capital efficiency, but also I guess with communication. Having a few high-performing people, orchestrating a lot of AI agents and things like that. But like before we go into that, like just tell me a little bit about your co-founders. What's your dynamic?
Yes, so co-founders, here's Simone. I mean, I have the business background, as I said, I work VC and I'm B2C marketing. He used to be more into the design side because he worked in like design studios and stuff, but now with like AI, he became a software engineer apparently. Messy code, but it works. And,
everyone is a software engineer these days.
Yes, and as I said, my brother, he worked at Quora.com, the question and answer website, and then he worked in a scale-up for like developing an LLM for cybersecurity. So, I mean, I live with Simone, so like we share a lot. We live together in Valencia now, we live together in Berlin as well. So, I mean, it has to be a good. We never argue, not even around who's cooking and who's like cleaning. So that's honestly.
Who decides? Like when you have different decisions in product, or like be honest. Like, are you never arguing? Is that really true?
I mean, no, we debate, but it's always like at the end, like what we know exactly what's our vision at this point. We know where we want to head toward. We know who also has the main like responsibilities. Like if there is a discussion about marketing, and there is something that you can't know whether it's right or wrong, I am the one having the ownership on the marketing side. If it's something about the tech, the infrastructure, it's Stefan, my brother, who is like mainly knowledgeable about this. So we debate, we see what's the upside and downside, and then it's like, okay, yeah, maybe we don't agree fully, but we know somebody has the ownership on things and has like more knowledge about it. So, and yeah, we are also very data driven. So like usually data, it speaks for us. And luckily we have plenty of data. With like 100,000 of monthly active users, data is there. So usually it's a discussion about most of the thing you can just A/B test them and see what works. And but for some more strategic stuff, we kind of know that on the product vision and stuff, Simo has more ownership. On the marketing side, it's more me. And then we kind of just discuss multiple times. And yeah, it's really about knowing who knows most and trusting that person. Because if you start a journey together, it's because you can blindly trust that person. It's not that let's just do this. It's like, okay, I can trust him. If we have a discussion, he's going to be the one still that has the most knowledge about it, and he's going to execute the best probably.
But I think like it's not luck, obviously, but it's great when you have that dynamic, when you have like clear profiles who have clear ownership of different things, because it can also easily just, by coincidence that your brother would be in your area, not like a tech guy, for example, and you would do a company, so like you don't have to stamp on each other's toes.
Yeah, but me and my brother knew that we wanted to build a company together one day. So, I mean,
how were you?
It was almost strategized, It was almost strategized.
By what age did you know
remember.
This?
I don't know. In high school, for sure. I remember saying to my parents, he's the engineer. I will be the business guy, and at least one day we can work together. I remember that well in high school already. So yeah. Also because my dad and my uncle are like both like in the same company, and like it's always been like we saw that happening. So I don't know why it kept in the family blood, I guess.
Yeah. And how? So you are like the trio of co-founders that are super known each other forever. And now you're expanding the team, right? You're hiring. The fight for talent is brutal. Like I mean, you're doing remote, so you have a big pool, but still. You've done a few really like top hires from unicorns and things, but like tell me a little bit about how do you hire and how do you like build the culture and include people in like your tight-knit team?
Yeah, so on finding talent, we were also on one side lucky, let's say, again, about the network and the thing we built through the years. So always knowing that one day we would be like entrepreneurs, we always like try to cultivate our network and stuff. So our first hires were all from like network. And then we finished our network, unfortunately. Like it gets to a point where it's finished. So one of the advantages of being remote is that it's plenty of people, and it already happened for us. Like one Italian was working in Poland for Google. He didn't want to live anymore in Poland, and we work remotely, and he wanted to move back to Italy. So some people that we hired is because they want to move back to Italy, and they're it's unfortunate, but lucky for us that Italian companies don't pay well, and so like we can like hire top talents from Italy because they want to work from there. And then the problem becomes, of course, you hire because you are remote and it's a great benefit for them. How do you build the culture? And this is where, like, every time we hire somebody, we meet with that person. Like, we either make an offsite with the full team. We did one in Georgia. We did one in Spain. So every time we hire maybe 2-3 people, we do an offsite just to spend 1 week together. And then, in any case, for example, like sometimes I fly to that person's place because maybe we want to work together. It's about like showing that you still value the connection, I think, at that point. Because some remote companies it's remote and then it feels like, it's just because like we only want you to do the job. We don't want to talk to you pretty much. With us, it's like we are remote because we value also your life priorities and stuff. But then we also value like our relationship, and we keep on meeting each other every like 2-3 months. And we realized it only by doing the mistake of hiring one guy in Portugal and never seeing him for the first like month and a half. And then we realized, oh, it was wrong. Like the full onboarding was bad. We ended up, he was our first hire, and we ended up that we had to fire him after 2 months. And it was mainly because we didn't manage to onboard him properly. We didn't manage to build a connection. So he was not he's involved in the company at that point. He was just coding a bit. And so like, it's really about, lucky we as you know, we travel a lot. So we end up like just going around and meeting the people that are in the team. And an offsite every like 2-3 months is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's super important. But yeah, I mean, it is always challenging also when you are in the same place to build a strong culture, and it's so key, like in this, you being like few people, everyone is super capable, again, leveraging AI. One mental note I just did also is that, because the audience here is Latvian, like that, and in reflection that, I guess it's nice for Latvia in one sense that basically salaries here are higher than in Italy, which, sad for Italy though, in a sense, like if you look from a macro perspective that like the Baltics have grown and Italy's been a little bit stuck. But I mean, it's great for you to kind of use that as a talent pool in a sense as well.
Yeah. And by the way, side note on the offside, what we're seeing that is pretty cool is that, of course, we have a vision, but it's not like that it's written in stone and it doesn't change. And we face many problems. And working remotely with a team that's highly engaged on what we want to build in the future, build some interesting dynamics where there is, big problem maybe on some specific stuff. And it's not that we discuss daily about it in the office. So what happens is that maybe for a month, everybody is like still considering that problem and coming up with solutions without debating all the time. And then when we meet for the offsite, it's like, we can't go to sleep until we finish this discussion, and we end up staying like awake the whole time trying to, because everybody builds so many ideas and so much understanding about it that we just keep on debating and debating and debating. And I think it happens only if you find this like 1 week every 2-3 months where you're like, okay, this is the week where we just talk about the future of the company. Yeah. And if you're in the office the whole time, it's always like maybe quickly, oh yeah, but it's not crucial now, let's postpone it. And you never step back and be like, it is the whole picture. And having every 2-3 months a week where you're like, okay, we step back, what is the full picture of the company and how can we move forward? I feel like it was very beneficial, and it still is very beneficial for us to understand better what we want to do in the next 2, 5, 10 years.
And I think a reflection from my side as well is that you can basically almost only do that when you are this small, highly capable team. So everyone is kind of chipping in, and they have like huge emotional involvement, and everyone is kind of sharing and discussing. And like if you are a 50, 100 people company, it's much more difficult to achieve that. So again, having AI agents doing all the boring stuff, and having humans really create value. I think it's a new way of building a company.
And it's more fun.
And it's way more fun.
Like, honestly, it's just fun.
And maybe like just lastly, transitioning into the vision of the product. So, I mean, just, where you guys started, being amazing UX, generating flashcards, very competitive space, and you're transitioning, but you have like millions of users, so like huge data sets, transitioning into this like learning OS. So how do you like envision medical students or students in large studying?
So now we were like, okay, this is pretty cool. This is, keeping the users, it's working. But then, the more you work on it, and the more you're like, okay, do we want to build like a nice feature, or do we want to build a platform where students do the full like studying experience? So we got just deeper into the pain points, and now the student on Flashka, when he starts from going to classes, and he's like taking notes while listening to the professor. It's like you just have to write fast. Most of people don't even reason why they listen to the professor. So we found it very effective to make the notes be taken by AI, and the student is just there to understand. And then he will have the transcript, he will have the summaries, everything he needs. But just listening to the professor makes it much better for him to understand. So now the AI takes the notes, and you can edit them, you can modify them, everything. then you can we optimize the memorization as it used to be with generating flashcards. And another pain point is also that students just have limited amount of like exam simulation or training material. And that's solved because, of course, we can just generate all the quizzes and exam simulations they need to. And then, like, this is pretty cool, but you know, the biggest pain points are still not solved. Like, people are like, have like anxiety because, oh, I know everything, but is my material like covering everything that the professor wants to? And so I think it's going to be interesting for the future to be like, to exploit the data layer we are building, where the person studying on Flashka isn't only sure that he knows everything of the material he has, but can be also given additional material to cover all the topics that all of the other people in his same class are studying. So maybe if I'm missing some notes, but you have some better notes, we can integrate the material and make it a real collaborative platform where studying on Flashka doesn't only mean studying effectively, but it also means like being sure that you know everything that the professor wants you to know. And so there are like multiple ways we can do this, and it's going to be also a matter of like integrating marketing in a good way with also like the development of the product. But that's probably the vision for next maybe 5 years. It's nothing close. It's still working on it.
Super exciting.
Oh, Simone is like, oh, in 3 months. 1 month? Okay, one day, guys. Tomorrow is done.
But yeah, David, this has been amazing. I'm very thankful. Amazing audience. A lot of people filled up. So thanks for this, and talk to David, reach out if you want to know something more. Yeah, over and out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for this.